Number 1. What's that lump in the hotel bed? A group of college friends planned a weekend trip to a popular highland resort in Malaysia during their semester break. Being smart college kids, they booked only one twin sharing room. They figured they could cram at least 4 people into a room with 2 single beds. All they had to do was pull down the mattresses from the divans and, voila, 4 beds. The day came, and they excitedly caught the bus up to the highlands. When they reached the hotel, they quickly dumped their backpacks in the room and proceeded to check out the attractions at the resort. They spent the afternoon thoroughly enjoying themselves. As evening approached, they decided to return to their hotel room for a rest before heading out for dinner. As they took turns showering, some of them lazed on the beds. One of the friends complained that his bed felt lumpy, but they decided not to complain to the hotel management because they were over-occupying the room. After dinner, they proceeded to check out the nightlife. It was close to midnight when they decided to knock off for the night. Returning to their room, they got ready for bed. But when they pulled the mattresses off the beds, they got the shock of their life. To their horror, they discovered a corpse of a woman sandwiched between the mattress and divan of one of the beds. In a panic, they immediately called the hotel management. Keen to avoid any negative publicity that would affect their business, the hotel management paid off the kids handsomely to keep quiet. Number 2. The yellow Volkswagen of Karak Highway. The Karak Highway is widely regarded to be extremely haunted. This is due to its dubious reputation of having the highest accident rate in the country. Whether it's ghosts creating the accidents or the accidents creating the ghosts, it's a question that can never be satisfactorily answered. Amidst the general feeling of hauntedness surrounding this highway, there are several supernatural stories that stand out. Among them are the reported sightings of a mysterious yellow Volkswagen driving along the highway. You can only see this Volkswagen at night, and if you do see it, be extra careful. Otherwise, you may become another accident statistic, or worse. The story goes that, if you encounter this yellow Volkswagen, it will be blocking your lane. It would be moving very slowly, forcing you to overtake it. Once you have overtaken it, you will notice that a short while later, your headlights will show that you are approaching a yellow Volkswagen that is being driven very slowly. If you overtake it again, a short while later you will see that you are approaching a yellow Volkswagen that is being driven very slowly again. And if you look closely enough, you would see that there is actually nobody in the driver's seat. Most motorists are warned to not overtake the car, or it will keep appearing in front of you. Although, sometimes when you are overtaking it, the little car will speed up and disappear into the darkness. Number 3. Janet's Ghost. There are many variations to the story of Janet's ghost, with incredibly vast differences in detail, but all of them involve a female apparition who haunts Kuching. It goes something like this. Janet is said to have been a young Chinese nurse in Kuching's public hospital. She is said to have disappeared around the late 60s. At that time, kidnappings were rampant in Kuching, and the disappearances were believed to be linked to the construction of the Satuk Bridge. If construction of the bridge was held up for any reason, it meant that the territorial spirits were displeased. Human sacrifices would have to be made to appease them. Virgin girls were preferred, and only their heads would be used. The usual method was to decapitate the victims and embed their heads in the concrete pillars. This is believed to be the fate that befell Janet. Janet's headless body was eventually found in a culvert. Her grieving parents buried her in a red dress and red shoes. The Chinese believe that, if a woman died wearing red, she would return as a vengeful spirit. Perhaps her parents intended for Janet to return and exact justice on her killers. Then the sightings began. Terrified villagers living at the outskirts of Kuching City reported seeing a mysterious woman dressed in red, trying to attract the attention of the menfolk. It is often reported that Janet would hitch a ride with motorcyclists, but at the end of the ride she would disappear, leaving behind a stain left on the seat that had the stench of rotting flesh. There are also frequent stories of a red-clad woman catching a ferry to cross the Sarawak River. Once she reaches the other side, the woman disappears, and the money paid turns into leaves or Chinese hell notes. Because of this, ferry operators will not work after 10 p.m. Even to this day, a woman in red is also frequently sighted wandering around the Kuching Public Hospital. Janet's ghost is so feared that residents of Kuching refuse to even mention her name for fear of getting a visit from her at night.